We are here. We are talking. Hi, everybody. Welcome to 20Q, 20 Questions with Interesting People, where we learn the origin stories of everyday superheroes in the LGBT community and friends. I am your host, the very handsome Tim Kirk, and our guest this time is raconteuse, bon vivant, and woman about town, Avery Cruz. Hi, Avery.
Hola, how you doing?
Fine.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
I'm so happy to have you here today. I'm going to start right in.
All right.
Okay, first question, because there's so much to find out about you. So the first question is a little bit about your background. Where are you originally from, and what was it like?
All right, so I was born in New York. I was born in Manhattan, and but I was raised in North Bergen, New Jersey, which is, right across the Hudson River. And my parents they come from El Salvador. Like I said, I was born here. North Bergen is a very diverse town. There's a lot of Latinos, a lot of Italians, a lot of people from the Middle East. Now that I'm older, I appreciate those things because I learned so much from all those different cultures. I went to high school in North Bergen. I graduated in 2006, and growing up in North Bergen was cool. We were always, it's part of Hudson County. We were always like the nice part of Hudson County. Hudson County has areas. Excuse me. Hudson County has areas that are much different from North Bergen, is what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So
I have to try to triangulate where is North Bergen relative to like Wayne or.
Oh, that's far.
Is it?
Yeah, that's far. So across the Lincoln Tunnel, so from New York,
right, is
Weehawken, and
right.
Then if you keep going a little further, you're going to hit North Bergen eventually, which is like 5 minutes after Weehawken.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's super close. It's super close.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very, very close. So I used to come to New York City when I was like 14 years old. My mom hated it, but it's like the only place where I felt, where I was able to be comfortable with myself.
I understand.
Obviously, I would hang around like West 4 because.
Yeah. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was always being questioned for why I was going to the city.
Right. Oh, yeah. I get it.
Because that's where life was.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's where I was able to be myself. That's where I felt I can identify more with people there. So...
well, that's really cool. I didn't know you grew up in such close proximity.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. It was awesome. It was a benefit, because, like I said, I don't know what's wrong with my throat right now. Sorry.
No worries.
It was such a benefit living so close to New York City because everyone talks about New York City, right? New York City is like the capital of the world, and we were just so blessed to literally be 15, 20 minutes away from the capital of the world. So I still look at it that way.
Yeah. I love living here. This is the greatest place I've ever experienced.
You live in the center of everything. It's amazing.
I tell a story of, we used to live on 16th Street and a long time ago. My brother came to visit us one Sunday for brunch. And in those days, where Google is, that was a Port Authority building. And the block that's on the east side, between 15th and 16th, was just a warren of drug dealers. And we were walking in the street, and a gunfight broke out. And my brother was hypnotized, and I had to grab him by the arm and snap him back. And he went up like this, and he collected his senses.
Oh my God.
And the bullets were flying by us. And it was a very,
very
very
scary.
different world. But I still was so excited, and it was something was going on all the time, whether you knew it or not, or cared it or not. Like the meatpacking district,
Right.
If you went there were gay subcultural
Right.
locations, and you would see tranny hookers, and you see station wagons with jersey plates and baby seats.
Right.
So like that's how you made the living, and that's what So you saw that all the time, and you wouldn't see that during the daytime, but you knew that was going on at night.
Right.
And you just knew this never stopped.
Absolutely.
And
I can't
it's
even
two different worlds.
imagine.
Yeah, so
That's awesome.
that was one of those eye openers when you go, especially when you're seeing all these like middle-aged guys who look like some coach or something,
Right.
And you go, wow, oh, I get it. Okay, all right. So baby seats.
Baby seats. Have things changed?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I kind of figured, but I would,
the Chelsea Market.
Yes.
Okay, that was the factory where Oreos were invented.
Oh wow.
That was an Nabisco factory.
I did not know that.
And
Oreos are vegan.
yes, I know, completely vegan. I knew that. Yes.
I'm just saying. It was like a fun fact. But go ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, enough of that, because this is something else I'm going to have to cut out because it's going to be too long.
Right.
So anyway, the next question: which life experience had the greatest impact on you? And I can imagine you can have a lot to say on this.
Which life experience specifically? There was a few. There was a few.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
I guess if we're gonna talk about like my adolescence, it was. Well, actually, you know what? I want to fast forward a little bit. A life experience that changed my life forever was, I was in the Army for 4 years, and I did serve one tour in Iraq, and I lost 2 friends while I was over there, and I saw it all. I saw everything happen. I was there in the convoy.
Wow.
And, without getting too much into detail about that, I'll say that experience after that made me realize how short life is. That was back in 2010. That was April 27, 2010. And that was literally 2 days before my birthday. And, it was intense. It was a very intense moment. At the time after that happened, I've never seen so many grown men cry,
Yeah, really.
And it was hard. It was very hard. And, I had a roommate who attempted suicide. I had to take his rifle from him.
Really?
Yeah, it was intense. It was a very intense moment. But, it's crazy. I became one of the people that died was actually one of the interpreters that was from Baghdad. Yeah. And I grew really close to him. I grew very close to this man. And, within those 9 months, I built such a unique friendship with him. I was always with him over there. And, he became like my scapegoat from the Army a little bit while I was over there when I was having like a hard time dealing with like work. Because, the Army world is like work. It's my job, But I would go to him and hang out with him to escape, So when he passed away in that convoy, I was like, wow, like I love that man. I loved him so much. And for me, I always thought like you needed to know someone for so much time to feel that kind of love, I was 22 at the time, I think. And it was such a moment for me where I said, I learned so much, that if you have something to say, if you want to do something, just, do it, just live your life. And life is really too short. That's when I learned how short life is, after experiencing that. So that was definitely a life experience that had the greatest impact on me because, I had a list. I had a list that I made when I was overseas, and I had it in my computer. It was a to-do list. Well, it was kind of a bucket list. That's what it was, a bucket list of what I wanted to do before I turned 30. And I've actually looked back at that list, and I've accomplished everything that I wanted to do before 30, and that was graduate with my undergrad, get my master's, travel to Istanbul, travel to Egypt, and, those things were just so important to me.
That's a very
yeah. So I really lit a fire on my ass to, to get those things done.
Yeah, I could. That's a lot, I'm kind of curious as to your understanding of the local culture while you were there. You had the interpreter, but you also were in the military. So I don't understand. How do you bridge that? How was that?
So being in the military, at the time, I did identify as a gay male.
Yeah.
I tried my best to hide. I don't know how good I did.
You did? Okay, I didn't know that.
I mean, in the sense of like, obviously the don't ask, don't tell policy was in place,
Yes.
But, there was just some things that I was not allowed to, say. And, that was one of them. And
especially never to the locals.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like especially in the service, and
I can imagine that.
And sorry.
So you were just telling me about the impact of your friend's death had on you in Iraq, and that's pretty traumatic, I must say. So that was a life experience that had the biggest impact on you, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So,
I've had plenty of other ones, but I think that was the first one that came to mind in this question. It was definitely, that was intense.
I would imagine.
Intense.
Yes, I would imagine. I can't imagine. I can imagine it being intense, but I can't imagine what you went through. So this is a question that I have to, usually takes a second to think about. What would you say to anyone interested in an aspect of your experience? Meaning, if someone wanted to explore an idea or a prospective opportunity based on what you can tell them, what would be the main thing you would say to encourage or discourage them? Like someone wanted to go into the service, or someone wanted to, someone wanted to explore their identity, and they were unsure of themselves, or something, anything. What would you say?
It's funny because now that the don't ask, don't tell policy is no longer it's no longer, how can I say that, alive. You can be free in the military now.
Is it really that much better?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
And it's so crazy because what really ticked me off was when Trump had made that one tweet about transgender people not being able to, serve their country. I was livid. That really just, I was like, oh my God, I need to go back in and prove my point. I was so upset. No, but going back to the question, it was like, just do it. Don't be afraid. When I was getting ready to join the military, I heard a lot of comments from people saying like, do you not value your life? And I'm just like, of course I value my life. What is that supposed to mean? And I think some people just had a perspective that, you join the military because this is not the way that I feel, obviously, but I'm saying, I received this perspective from some people of like, well, if you're joining the military, you're going to go to war. There's a chance that you might not come back, and the thought of, this might sound strange, but the thought of going overseas when I was joining there was like a thrill. You know, I kind of enjoy putting myself in those kind of situations, to be quite honest with you.
That's interesting.
And yeah, it's very strange because, and you know what, like I came to that conclusion until recently. It's like when I went to Istanbul last year, you know, there was a terrorist attack at the airport. In the international side, there was the coup that was going on in the summer, you know, and I had already planned my trip from the beginning of the year. And the terrorist attack had happened in the beginning of the year at the airport. This was in 2016. Yes, this was in 2016. And, you know, everyone kept telling me, like, don't do it. Don't go over there. Like, are you crazy? And I'm just sitting thinking, like, I can't make that decision. You know, like, I have to just let life be, you know? My fate was chosen for me a long time ago. You know, if I was meant to die, like, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what I do, right? Like, there's people that have to go through like freak accidents, you know? And
yeah, I understand that.
And for me, it was just like, nothing was going to deter me from going to Istanbul. If anything, there was a little excitement about going in the middle of all that. I know it's...
No, I actually know somebody who went with his sister, and they had to run for their lives down an alley.
Oh, wow.
While people were throwing bombs or something incendiary was happening, and they had to wait, and they said, you know, the heart's beating and it really fast, and they didn't know if they were going to live. And I think this was at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So you're not the only one.
Yes. And let me tell you, I said, I'm still going to go, you know, no matter what anyone tells me, you know. I never once thought like maybe I shouldn't, you know, because that's the thing. I live my life like that. I live thinking after that whole experience in Iraq, I thought about it. I really could have died in that situation.
Yeah,
you know,
you could have.
The way everything played out, like it was like Russian roulette, you know. And the way that the way that I live my life now, especially like going somewhere like Istanbul, I was just thinking, all right, these things are happening. And you know, of course, it was very sad for everyone in Turkey that this had happened and everyone that it affected. But at the same time, it's like, I don't get to choose when I die. I'm just have to keep living my life, you know, and I can't be living in that fear, because if I live in that fear, I'm never going to do anything, you know? So I went to Istanbul. I was there for 11 days and I had the time of my life, and I went alone, and it was the best trip I've ever taken.
Really?
Yes. It was amazing. It was amazing. And so I'm so grateful. You know, I'm a big believer in God, and I'm grateful that, you know, I know that he was watching over me while I was out there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You have more guts than I do. So, next question. What is your most noteworthy achievement?
My most noteworthy
You got a lot.
achievement. Like to me?
Yeah. What do you think is the thing that you are the most proud of, or what, you know, did the most for you that you took on yourself? You did.
Okay. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but yes, I do feel like I have plenty of noteworthy achievements.
I think so too. I agree.
But I will talk about my most recent one, you know, was just being able to accept the realization that I am a transgendered person, you know. And, you know, it's crazy because I had reached a point in this that I was so emotionally invested that I said, you know, I had just turned 30. I remember I had just turned 30 a few months ago. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, all right, you know, I had to start making like some life changes here, you know, and just start to come to realizations. It's like a switch went off almost. And I just remember sitting on my couch, you know, and and I thought to myself, like, am I really going to live the rest of my life kind of feeling like I'm living a double life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, do I deserve to treat myself that way, you know? And it was so hard for me to just say, screw it. I need to just accept it for what it is and just be happy, because I deserve to be happy.
Yes, you do.
You know? And I think everyone deserves to be happy.
What would you say is the biggest personal challenge you have faced? Is a personal injury, a seemingly overwhelming task, a personal and professional goal, a difficult job situation you had to overcome, or something? What did I think we're going to go back to?
The biggest personal challenge was obviously accepting. You know, it's in correlation with the question before
usually
this.
Follow up, yeah.
You know, and just verbalizing it to someone. You know, instead of just keeping it all within me. You know.
Having to express that.
Exactly. And I just remember I sent a text message. People caught on to me a lot. I feel like people within the last few months really caught on to me, like the people that were just noticing what I was doing. You know, I reached the point where I was just kind of, you know, doing more things to feminize my appearance, and I was like, I was just trying to do the minimum, you know, like,
okay.
And I said, no, I can't do this again. I microbladed my eyebrows, and it was like the worst thing I ever did. And I was like, no, like I can't keep messing with myself like this. Like I need to like navigate this, you know, the right way. And then, you know, finally verbalizing it to a close friend of mine who actually he's great. You know, he owns a gym in New Jersey in Cliffside Park called Body Culture.
I know that. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, he's amazing. He actually, I feel like, you know, after speaking to him, he did tell me that he kind of had a feeling. But a few months ago, Halloween time, you know, I went out in full, you know, I was out full female. I felt amazing. You know, I felt like, you know, like fine, like I'm me and I'm free. And he had asked, I went to the gym to, you know, because I told one of the trainers I was going to go to the gym and show him my costume. And when I walked in there, the owner, Thomas, he was in there, and he like looked at me and he's like, who is that? He couldn't figure out like who it was, you know? And I went up to him, I was like, it's me. And then he was like, oh my God. He's like, I had, you know, like, you look amazing. He's like, can I take a picture with you? I was like, of course. Like, let's take a photo. We took a photo, and then that night, it was on my phone. He asked me for the picture. So I sent it to him. He's like, I really like the picture. Would you mind if I post it on my page? And I thought he meant like his personal page or whatever. I was like, no, go ahead. I would love that. I thought it was so even nice that he even asked, you know? Yeah. So then, you know, as I'm going through, you know, Instagram, you know, social media, he had posted our photo, me and him, me in full costume, him, you know, at work. And in the caption, he wrote, you can be whoever you want, whenever you want. And don't let anyone tell you any different.
That's right.
After I read that, I cried. You know, like I cried, and I just felt like, you know, finally, like somebody, like, you know, like I know you know, and I want to tell you, but I have to accept this myself first, you know?
It's so funny.
And I'll never forget that.
When you were doing this, I have another friend who's bisexual. He was also on the float, but he had nothing to do with NBC at all. And he does drag, and he is so convincing as a woman because he's the beautiful Asian man with long hair.
Right.
And he calls, his name is Victor. He calls himself Princess Vic. And you're like, oh, that's Victor. It's like, oh, okay. You were really good. I mean, it wasn't like you were a guy going, I'm doing drag.
Right.
You're like, you're really, really good. And it's contemporaneous to when you were doing that. And you're pretty much the same age.
Yeah.
So like, okay. I just thought this was like, you know, everybody I knew who was in their late 20s.
Yeah,
doing
drag. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, for a second I was like, oh yeah, like this is drag. But then when people would be like, oh, like you're a drag queen, I'm like, I am not a drag queen. You know, like I am a woman. You know, I just felt like
difference.
It was crazy to me.
But we, you just make the assumption you're just doing drag for the night.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, like, you know, and then somebody, and one of my friends was like, oh, we want you to, you know, we want to go out, because that was Halloween weekend. It wasn't Halloween day.
Okay.
So, you know, everybody parties the weekend before Halloween. So
they think you're just doing this as a put on.
Yeah,
Because my friend, he did it. You know, he does exactly that. I mean, he does drag.
Yeah, right.
And he likes it.
Right.
I mean, he's been in a relationship with his girlfriend for a year.
Right.
And he's prettier than his girlfriend by far. I mean, he really is. He's like he's beautiful as a woman. But you know, the assumption was you were doing this as a put on.
Right.
But
oh yeah, no. And I was I was like full me. I was like on full girl mode.
Okay. So, what would you say was the transformational moment of your life? Was it a meaningful gift, a reason to belong to something, being a parent, good job, bad job, or something else? The moment that transformed you.
Obviously, you know, as you saw, I came out publicly with all my friends on there. I was trying on social media. I was really trying to have one-on-one conversations with people, but you know, like that was just getting exhausting. Like that was just like,
yeah, I imagine.
You know, and I try to tell the people, you know, like my just like close, and obviously my siblings. I have 3 siblings, and they were all very supportive.
That's great.
And
very good.
You know, like my close friends that I grew up with, and then I just said that was the most transformational moment in my life, because that's when I decided, perfect. Like I've already put it out there to the world. This is who I am, and you know, you either love me for who I am, or you know, you figure out what you want to do. Don't bring that negative energy around me.
I remember petrified of losing friends when I came out. And then, of course, I telling all my friends, and they're like, oh, really? You're gay? Why? I'm so surprised. Right. Okay, so what drives you? What gets you up in the morning? What's the thing that motivates you daily? You know, the thing that makes you want to keep going?
It's funny because this question was actually asked to me at work recently.
Really?
There's a big shift going on where I work at.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with one of the directors who was visiting from our location in Denver. And this is a great guy. I love like speaking to him. It's very organic. Every time I speak to him, it just flows easily. And, you know, I was just talking to him about my background in school, and that, you know, I went to school for IT, and I have this degree in security information assurance. But then he asked me, he's like, so tell me, what's your passion? You know?
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I was like, what is my passion? You know, like this question, like I've decided, you know, like I have to be true to myself here. What is my passion?
Yeah.
You know, although I do enjoy the whole technical background, you know, my education and everything, my passion is people. You know, I love helping people. I love delving into my humanitarian side, you know. I just like helping others, you know.
You'd be surprised at how common that is. Some people have misinterpreted the question and said, oh, coffee. And that wasn't exactly the gist. Other people are like, so I can do something that makes a difference.
Right.
You know, have an impact, a beneficial impact. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's surprising. It's like, so you've got a lot more in common with other people than you think. Okay, so this question, I love this question, because surprising consistency for a lot of people. What's the first thing you want to come to people's minds when they think of you?
Oh, wow. My nice tan skin. I'm just kidding.
Your next what?
My nice tan skin. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
It was a joke. I have to be, you know.
Yes.
The first thing that comes to people that I want people to remember.
Yeah. To think of. When they think of you, what do you want them to think of? Like me, you know, very handsome.
Oh, right, exactly.
You know,
yeah, no.
Or just, you know, like he's a good guy. Or you're funny, right? So I always want people to think I'm funny too.
Right. I enjoy that. You know, I just and that's because I like seeing people happy, right? Because it makes people laugh, and then they're happy.
It makes you feel good too.
Exactly, and it makes me feel good. You know, it's like therapeutic for everybody. We're all winners, right?
Yes.
We're all winners.
Making people laugh is the greatest thing you can ever do, I think. Anyway,
I agree.
So, what is your zen?
Running. That's my zen. You know, and I love running. I love long distances. You know, ran 6 marathons so far.
I've seen those.
And
I brag about you to people.
Plan on. Do you really?
Sure, I do. Are you kidding me? I'm so
You're
proud of you. You've accomplished so much in your life.
Thanks.
And to do this, and to be able to go, and I think it was a lot of it coincides with going to see people that you knew from the service.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's also a pretty just great thing too.
Thank you, Tim. You're the best.
That's just fantastic to me. And I used to run 10K a day, and I can't anymore. Terrible back, but that was another thing that you definitely got zen. Because
you are the handsome Tim still, though.
Wow, goes without saying. You can say it all you want.
Oh, I'll definitely say it. I feel it. I'm here for it.
You're so sweet. So this is a question. This is people have had trouble with this too,
Right.
Because some people say they haven't gotten there. But I think everyone's gotten there to a certain point in their life. And this question it's called the threshold. How did you know when you arrived there? How did it feel to cross it? What was the significance to you? What did you leave behind? What are you glad you left behind? And what do you regret leaving behind? Now, we all know the threshold is the point of there's no going back. Right? In that point in your life, you know there's no going back. I can't retreat and go high back or try to be that thing. That door is closed now, and you have to go on. So that's the threshold. You've crossed that threshold. What was the threshold for you?
This is very. As soon as you asked me this question, my threshold was when I left my home.
Okay.
At a very young age.
Okay.
Well, at a young age, not a very young age.
You're on your own?
Yeah, I'll be very honest here. My parents had a hard time knowing the fact that I was interested in same-sex.
Okay.
And it's definitely not something that I told them. It's something that was vocalized by someone else close to me.
Really? So you outed?
Yes, I was outed.
Oh, okay.
I was outed, and the threshold was, yes, I was kicked out of my home, and I remember that feeling. I thought, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go?
Really?
And thankfully, my aunt Betty, I had to say her name because I love her so much. She's just been there for me till this day. She's amazing. And once I left my home, I made a lot of decisions at that point. I said, I will never, ever allow that kind of negativity in my life ever again.
Wow.
And it was like
wow.
Yeah, it was a moment, and I'll never forget it. I will never forget that moment. Once I left there, I set boundaries for myself. And now that, I'm going to be going through this transition in my life, it's even more, affirming that I will never allow any kind of negativity to enter my world. So there's no going back.
Yes, there's no going back. That's right. And so, is there anything you regret leaving behind, or do you not have regrets, or something you're glad you left behind?
I think everything happens for a reason. I think as far as regrets, that was a choice that was something that I actually didn't get to decide.
It was thrust upon you.
Yeah, it was just thrown upon me.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I
never like to sit there and feel sorry for myself.
No, I don't think you are.
I've had my days, where I do think about those things, and I'm like, I wish things were different. I really do. But at the same time, I'm like, well, thankfully, I didn't go down, the wrong path, or I did not allow that negativity to manifest into my present.
So did that play into? I must have had an effect or a part of you joining the service.
Yes.
That
absolutely.
Was a way out.
Absolutely. And I'll be even more honest with you. Like, after I got kicked out of my home, I did start, I got depressed, I got really depressed.
I can understand that.
I was a little wild. I was a little out of control. I did delve into, I was underage drinking. And, but my aunt sat me down and told me, like, you're going down a bad path. You need to make a change. When she told me that, and she actually sat me down and spoke to me like a human being, I thought
Shouldn't talk
she
at
loves
you.
me.
Yeah.
She loves me, and she's saying this to me because she loves me and she doesn't want anything bad to happen to me. And I said, you know what? I need to make a change. After that talk, the next day I literally went to a recruiter and I joined the military. Yes.
Wow.
I did. And I left everything behind.
You did.
I did.
Everything.
Everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I left.
You got guts, kid. I'm telling you. So many of us cling to the familiar and the safety of that, whether it's good for them or bad, or just keeps them stuck in a rut.
Right.
And you made the conscious decision after, you got to give you a lot of credit for insight.
Yes.
But, wow. You just walked away and just made that incredible change.
Thank you. I had to.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, I'm going to just make this go forward. You have to pick some questions. You have to pick the other 10 questions. So what do you want to answer?
I want to see one where I wish I would have spoken more about my background, to be quite honest.
Keep on talking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have 3 siblings, who I love dearly.
Uh-huh.
And it's crazy. Growing up, I was very close to my oldest sister. And, right now she's had a baby, Sophia.
Yes.
And I definitely would like to share Sophia's story. Sophia was diagnosed with leukemia September 30th of 2017. And, our family's been trucking along, and my sister and her husband, Dave, they've been staying very strong. And, her being only 2 years old and seeing what she's gone through just makes me never want to bitch about my life ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just,
Yep.
it just
Absolutely.
reminds me that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put that down as the what is your abiding passion? What do you care about most? Because I think that does. Yeah, you do care about that the most.
Right.
So that I'll say that's probably that would be your abiding passion.
Absolutely. 100%.
Your family.
But she's in remission now, you know, and she's trucking along. She's in maintenance, so she's doing well. We just take it one day at a time. Yeah. Where did I know I hit? I chose my favorite weather.
What is your favorite weather?
My favorite weather is the rain. I love the rain. I love the fall. It's funny, the fall means everything to me because it's nice and gloomy. It's cool weather. It's the transition from summer to fall is gorgeous to me. It actually gives me an excuse to be indoors too. And people are like, I can't believe you don't like the heat. You don't like the summer. I'm like, believe it or not, I just don't. It's too hot.
I tell people this all the time. I'm an Irish sweater. I'm a walking barometer.
Right.
It could be between 39 and 63 degrees forever, and I would never complain.
Right.
And that's what I like, and I love the rainy days as well because it's something romantic and you can snuggle and
Absolutely.
and you curl up with a book or whatever you want to do.
Right.
And then you stay so much more focused on your thing. You're not out and being that's exhausting. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a time and place for that. But I love the fall. I love the cool weather.
Yep.
I hate the summer. I mean, I just melt in this. I just can't stand it.
Oh my God, I'm so glad we're on the same page there because people look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them I'm not a big fan of the summer.
I used to be at NBC all the time. It'd be a 5 Times Square. And people would tell me, God, I can't wait for the summer. I'm like, you're crazy, man. You're going to be, and everybody did this. Everybody did this every year, especially because of my thing with Out and Pride.
Right.
May. Oh, it's so cold. This is the coldest May we've ever had. The first few weeks of June. It's still cold.
I'm all about it.
And then comes the middle of June and it's 94 degrees for 6 days in a row, something like that. And then they're like, oh, it's so hot. I go, you were complaining that you wanted this for months. And then, yeah, a few days of this. Yuck, it's awful. I hate it. But people just want to get a tan, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have to worry about that. I'm not,
I can't,
I have an all-around tan all year, so.
You don't even have tan lines.
Exactly. It's au natural here.
I used to live at the beach. I lived in Long Beach.
Oh.
And that's when I ran 10K every day.
Nice.
And I used to go to Jones Beach, awesome. Field 6, the nude beach. So I was butt naked or shirtless. And I've been to the doctor. I've had 40 things removed from my body in the last few years, including one big, what I thought was a freckle on my nose. And then I got hard, and then it started to hurt. And I was like, well, that's not going to get better by itself. I went to the doctor and he said, we're taking it off right now. Because that would have been skin cancer. Skin cancer, it goes in. It's from the top down. So when it goes in and hits your bloodstream, you're dead. You can't do anything about it.
Oh, my God.
So I had one on my left nipple, right above my left nipple, on my areola. And he had to slice that out with but he scraped and pulled and burned and frozen off loads of things.
Oh, wow.
And this last time I went to it, I have to go to him like every 3 or 4 months. The last time I went to it was in May. And it's the first time in like 4 or 5 years I haven't taken anything off of you. I've been studiously avoiding. So I had the hell with the sun. I could care less.
Right.
What is your most treasured possession?
I wouldn't say, she's not my property. She's like my baby. Obviously, my dog.
Oh.
Nina.
Yeah.
Nina Hernandez. I got Nina in 2011. Was it 2011?
That's a good girl.
Yes. I got her in 2011 when I got out of service. When I redeployed from Iraq. And I was getting ready to get out.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to get out. And it's fine.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to get out of the service, and I was getting ready to move back to New Jersey after struggling with the idea of having to move back to New Jersey. I said I got my dog. I got Nina Hernandez. I don't mean to exaggerate, but Nina saved my life. There was a point too when I redeployed and it was a little difficult coming back, and Nina was like my comfort. She was like my comfort blanket. And, she's still alive today. She's 7 years old. And, she's having a few health issues here and there, but she's such a strong little girl. And now she has a little sister at home, a cat sister.
What's her name?
Sibel. So they're like the same person. Both of them. They have the same personality. It's funny, except she's like a cat. She's a cat and she's a dog, but they're like the same type of personality. It's the cutest thing ever. They're kind of like me.
Look at this last one.
I know. And I wasn't a big cat person before until I got one.
They seduce you.
They're amazing.
You do fall in love.
Like they have good feng shui too. So, but no, I love both of my animals equally. To me, they're my babies.
Yes.
I take good care of my Nina. I probably take more care of her than I do myself. I don't know.
Aww.
Yeah. So she's just my bundle of joy.
Sure she is. So, what is your name? What do you think of when you think of yourself?
So, Avery.
Yes.
When I chose that name, and I love that name,
Yes.
It's funny because I've been hearing, a few things. People are like, well, that's a male's name. Well, that's a female's name and all this stuff. And I'm like, actually, I'm glad everyone is throwing out these opinions because that's exactly what I represent, I love the unisex name,
Okay.
It's funny because I was telling someone last night, I was like, I don't feel like a Valentina or like a Rebecca or I don't feel like that, Like I do feel obviously more female than I do male, and that's why I will be going through my aesthetic changes. But there's always going to be that little portion for me, and I'm speaking only from my experience, that there is a bit of neutrality there, just a tiny bit, that, that just makes me, and I have such a hard time with labels, and I've already spoken about this with a professional, and, he understands what I'm trying to say, So that's why I chose the name Avery for myself, I love that name. I thought it was a beautiful name.
It is a beautiful name.
And I attribute it more to female myself, and I had a friend who had asked me for baby names for his daughter, and I had mentioned Avery to him, and this was a few months ago. And then I had reached out to him when I was telling people and I was coming out, and I said, "Hey, are you still planning on using that name?"
I said, "No. It's my name."
And I was like, and he's like, "Oh, why? Are you planning on having children?" I was like, "No, it's for me." I was like, "Yeah,
that's great.
It's for me."
That's great.
And he was like, he actually lives in Istanbul, so he's like, "I'm gonna have to call you later because I want to hear this coming from you."
Okay.
But yeah, no, I love that name and everything that it,
So some people say it's me, or whatever.
It represents
whatever.
Me. No, for me it just represents equal parts.
Okay.
I was being silly there.
No. Okay.
Right.
Equal parts.
I was joking. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Oh, I actually think that's a good one. What did you grow up misperceiving?
Okay.
It's gonna sound really stupid though.
No, there's a couple of good ones, but tell me, what did you grow up misperceiving? What did you not get that other people knew and you just never got it right?
I thought people, and I was like really young, I used to think people died in movies. Like they literally died.
At the end of the movie?
Like they were no longer alive ever.
Okay.
I thought, and I wasn't the only one. I thought my siblings thought the same thing, and I would literally cry, especially when I saw Titanic.
Okay.
I thought those people really died in the movie.
Oh.
It was bad.
Okay.
I know. It's like so embarrassing, but I don't know. It was like it was strange. I had to say that because I just thought like, wow, like I can't believe I actually, misperceived that.
So okay, we get to 17.
I like this one.
Your least favorite responsibility? What is it?
I hate washing dishes. I live alone, and I live in a little cute, perfectly fitting apartment for myself with my 2 animals. And my apartment is pretty squeaky clean. But I hate washing dishes. Like I don't have a dishwasher, and I envy people with dishwasher.
We have one, and I prefer washing the dishes
really,
myself.
I just hate getting my hands and all that.
See, that's another one of my little zens.
Really?
Yeah,
God,
it's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not weird.
I know,
There's
weird.
people that like to do all kinds of things, but I hate washing dishes.
Okay.
This one.
What do others not know about you? What do others not know about you?
Well, until recently, people now know, but
Yeah.
I decided to go vegan back in February.
I saw that. That's so funny. And no one noticed. Nobody cared or anything.
It was just like, yeah, seriously. It was like, I was like, it was much easier for me to be accepted as a transgender person than people accepting the fact that I went vegan. I'm like, okay, so you guys are absolutely okay with me growing breasts, but you're not okay with me putting the cheese away? Like,
Hey.
I thought it was just hilarious.
I just think it's so much more of a challenge to live as a vegan.
It is. I mean, it's kind of like, it seems it's just as difficult as being a Trump supporter every day.
I guess. I don't know. That's impossible for me. How about this one? Do you ever think like this one?
I like that one. Actually, I was looking at that one.
Okay, so when you see something to completion, do you bask, or is there no time you need to move on?
When I see something to completion, it's funny. Like I work best under pressure. You know, like I will make sure that what I need to do gets done, and I will expend all resources. You know, until I've reached the point where I have to realize that maybe it's not meant to be, you know, but usually I am dead on it. You know, usually I will see things to completion and, yeah, you know, I'm a go-getter. I'm a go-getter, you know.
But then do you move on?
Do I move on?
Yeah, because that's the idea. When you see the completion, some people are like, well, you know, I'm so great. You know, or you go, okay, on to the next one.
Well, yeah, you know, I give myself a little pat on the back and then I go on. Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely.
that's
Yeah,
where you
no,
go.
I don't bask in it.
Yeah,
I don't
bask, right.
I don't like gloat in it.
Like how wonderful I am.
No, I'm not like that.
Okay.
I'm not. Even though, you know, I've heard that, I've been perceived that way, but I'm definitely not like that.
I don't see you as being that way at all.
No, not at all. Never.
So that was 19, by the way, because 18 was already over here.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, this one that. Let's see. This is the one that I don't know if you want to
like
know about this
closing
one.
with it?
But you don't have to. You can go do another one if you want. But this is the one that people love. This. What is the most grievous offense you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis from others? Gets under your skin. Rudeness, sloppiness, carelessness. Something you have no room for in your mental landscape. The thing that irks you. Someone not closing a door or repeatedly mispronouncing something. Stuff like that. Is that a good question?
Yes. That's
Okay.
A great
So what is the
question.
question?
I hate people who chew with their mouths open.
Okay.
Disgusting. Like, how do you not see or hear yourself doing that? You know, like not even just like sitting across someone and you can visually see them chewing with their mouth open.
Oh yeah.
You see everything and then you just hear it and it grosses me the hell out. You know, and you know what? I deal with that on a daily basis.
Really?
Yes, I do with someone at work. You know, this person just chews with their mouth open.
I don't understand that either. What are you, a cow?
And you know, we've all called it out, but it's just this person does not care. You know, just one of those people, and it's just like,
Well, you know,
we're trying to help you out there, buddy. A last one. I don't know. What would be what would be another good closing one?
let's see. Okay, this is a good one. What's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color.
Yeah.
My favorite color is green.
Me too.
Really?
I think it's very mystic.
I think I attribute it to nature.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like that actually. Mystic.
It's very mystic.
You know, people are always like, is it because of money? I'm like, no, it's not because of money.
No.
You know, I don't chase money. You know,
It's mystical. It's
just
beautiful.
It's just a beautiful color.
Yes, it is.
And it's very diverse. It's very versatile. Green goes with everything. You know.
And I've got hazel eyes, always the more on the green side. And I'm Irish, and my birthday is in March. So that's around St. Patrick's Day. So it's all the green. I grew up with it, and I just had green.
You're a Pisces.
Yeah.
I'm a Taurus.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You are a bull. Yeah.
You should. Where's that question?
I don't have that one. What's your sign?
Well, yeah, I'm a Taurus. I love my sign. That's why I got a giant bull tattooed on my hip.
There you go. So I can see, like, this is a question for you because you're a Taurus. Do you have a checklist you routinely follow? If so, in what context? Right? Because obviously you do.
I do.
Yes.
I do. I put everything in my iPhone. I put everything in my notes section, and I put everything in my calendar of what I need to do.
It's the easiest way to go through life.
Yeah, it is. And it drives me crazy when people are like, what note section? I'm like, what do you mean what note section? There's a note section, I think, on almost every phone where you could just write down, you know, you could just type down everything that you need to do. I have a list of, like, what I need to buy when I go out to Target.
I think we got there.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, I enjoy this very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
having me.
I enjoy this immensely. I thank you so much.
You're
It's been
amazing,
a great experience.
Tim.
Oh,
You're an amazing guy.
You are too kind.
I just want to thank you for inviting me, and I want to thank you for being in my life.
Thank you for being in my life.
You've been an amazing person. You've been a great supporter, and, you know, just looking forward to spending more time with you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to too, and I think this is a great experience for both of us. Me personally, it's been such a immensely rewarding, but enjoyable. I have enjoyed this so much with everybody, finding so many things out about people, and also finding out so many people who are so disparate have so much in common.
Really?
You know, yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. You think people are so different, and they are, and they're distinct in their own way, but we have so much common ground.
That's awesome.
And it's great. It really is. So I thank you, and I'm going to say, like I say to everybody else, we'll see you again. As the kiddies say, peace out.